Hey, well, I'm Aaron, and I'm here with Kaitlyn, who does Minnie Mouse. Kaitlyn, it's great to meet you.
Thank you.
I detected when we first met you a little bit of a southern accent, which I noticed that Minnie Mouse doesn't typically have.
Do?
I don't know. Can you tell us like where you're from and how you get into the character?
Yeah, well, I was born and raised in San Diego. My parents are both from like Wyoming Midwest, so maybe that's what you're hearing because I learned to speak from them. Fun fact, there was an episode of Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse where she had to speak with a Texan accent for cheese wranglers. So that was a pretty fun moment. But yeah, I was born and raised in San Diego. I went to UC Irvine for college, and I worked at Disneyland because everyone who went to UC Irvine worked at Disneyland. And I knew I wanted to be a voice actor from when I saw Aladdin with Genie, because Robin Williams was my hero. And I do a lot of voiceover freelance, but Minnie was always my dream too. So I practiced her for years and years and years and kept it to myself. And then when Russi Taylor, my predecessor, passed on, that was kind of like, well, now or never. And it still doesn't feel real that they picked me. Yeah. Tradesies.
Yeah. How do you try to emulate her, or how do you, like, it's such an iconic voice, how did you sort of like adapt your voice to the character?
Well, the voice was there, and I would just listen to her back and forth about how does she pronounce her consonants, how does she pronounce her vowels, does she squeak up, does she squeak down, does she go into words that start with vowels sliding through, like it's those tiny little nuances that kind of helped make a difference. And her singing's very vaudevillian, and I had taken a semester of opera back in college, so I figured I could sing, and the sound was there. I just wanted to make sure that we continue on. How does Minnie think? Not how Kaitlyn thinks. How does Minnie think? And it was so beautifully Russi that the emotions were clear on her face and her voice. But every so often we'll record something that I'll do a read that's like, okay, that was the Kaitlyn take. That's how Kaitlyn thinks. Every so often it makes its way into the program, but it's usually that full-faced Minnie that I'm imagining. So it's very easy to put myself in her high heels.
Sure.
Yeah.
And how has the sort of trade changed? I know during like COVID, folks couldn't be in the same room to record things.
Yeah.
How has that, like, I don't know, the last different technologies, how has it sort of changed your work?
It usually in voiceover we don't record ensemble to begin with. It's very rare. I think out of all the things I've done, there's only been 2 shows that we recorded ensemble, which were amazing and a lot of fun. It's just kind of that time and money aspect and everyone's schedule. So it's a little trickier these days. But with the pandemic, we had to find a way to work from home right away. And so I bought a microphone kit offline of, like, it came with the microphone, it came with the holder, so it'd be ergonomically safe. It came with a microphone stand, the pop filter, and then I bought like a little tray that connected to it so I could put my iPad on to read my scripts. And then like my old iPad was like the Zoom camera, and the computer was kind of outside because you could hear the fan. But it was a pretty ramshackle, but we got the job done. And engineers are wizards, so they could take all the audio we were recording from home and make it sound like it was in the studio. So it was still as solitary as ever, but now I didn't have to drive long distances, and I just had to worry if the neighbors had their AC on, which luckily wasn't often.
Sure. What you said, going back, that when you had first worked at Disney, you were interested in different characters, you've done other things, but Minnie's the one that like inspired you the most. What is it about Minnie that brought you in, and why do you think Minnie has sort of endured, given, there's other princesses, there's other characters from Disney, but Minnie and Mickey have, been pretty consistent. So for you and everyone.
Well, Minnie's the first lady of Disney, so she's been there since almost the beginning. I guess Alice would be from the Alice comedies, but Minnie, I feel like she's just such a heart of the Disney family. And there's a maternalness about her. There's that sweetness about her. She can be funny and comedic and crazy when the mood strikes her. But I really just love that because children in particular love Minnie so much. They gravitate towards her, all of Mickey's friends. But Minnie sometimes just has that little edge. And it's very fulfilling to be the voice of that character where I'm talking to all these children directly, even if they can't see me, even if they're 3,000 miles away. when I'm speaking for her, I'm speaking to them. And I love meeting guests, and they bring their kids up all the time and sing their faces when you do the voice, or if I have a mini picture to give them, it's the delight is so fresh. And my goal is to give to others as was given to me by all of my heroes growing up. And we would go to Disneyland twice a year, so Disney was always a home of sorts. Like we knew it back and forth. So it was a place you could go and the people you can meet without having to worry about the real world. So if we can deliver that magic type of fantasy and getaway feeling, everybody wins.
So a lot of the Disney female characters, I would say, have evolved over time. Like the live action version of Jasmine is different from the cartoon one with the Robin Williams version. Like she's just sort of a character there, but she didn't do a whole lot. Now she's like, a little more empowered. Do you see sort of any of the gender role or anything about Minnie having evolved or changed in any way, or do you see it as like a pretty consistent character? And is there?
She's pretty consistent. We really had the breakthrough with Minnie in the 80s when Totally Minnie first came out, where it could establish her as her own persona outside of the Mickey and Friends group, her own thoughts, her own interests, her own ideas. So it wasn't like a companion, it was her own thing. So that establishment was all Russi Taylor, and it flowed all the way till present day, because Minnie has her own boat tunes, she has her own careers. I think that evolution allows boys and girls to see like anyone could do anything. So she runs a pet hotel, she has a camp, she has a party palace, she has 3 different homes, like she has a house, she has an apartment, like she can do most anything. As long as like the mind is there for it and the actions are there. As being one of the captains of the ship is a huge honor as well, just to show how women can be in maritime career fields as well, or everyone's involved with the party. I know Goofy wants to be a captain. We'll get there eventually. I think he just needs a little more time, but for now he's quite happy keeping an eye on the ship and making sure everyone's having fun. But just more elements for Minnie to explore in those genres are always welcome.
And you mentioned that you don't record it as an ensemble. How much are you in contact with the other voice actors of, hey, I'm going to play this scene this way, you're going to play it that way? Like, are you guys communicating, or is that through director? I don't know how it works, like, in the recording process.
It's usually through our director. So since we go in one at a time, sometimes I'll be the first one to read for an episode, or I'll be the last one. And if there's certain beats in the script or transitions that we're trying to get a particular plot point across, I'll deliver my line 3 different ways, 3 different points of view, 3 different emphasis sometimes, or like what's a melody that sounds natural to the human ear. Some lines, it's like there's really only one way to read this, because no one else would say it. It would just be weird any other way. But if it was something of an emotional delivery or a goal delivery, since Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus is for like littles, so we want to make sure they're being guided in the right direction without telling them. They'll play me in with a previous character's line. So they'll play like, what does Daisy Duck say right before that I would respond to? That way I'm not just kind of saying it out of thin air, I'm saying it in response. So they played a lot of Daisy for me in the early years, so it felt like Tress MacNeille was right there in the booth with me, and that helped a lot. But yeah, we'll play it in for each other. I've texted Brett Iwan before plenty of times where we're like, ooh, the songs coming up are pretty big, or the director is going for this route. We just discovered it halfway through recording. This is the intent. I'm letting you know now so it's easier for your session. But we see each other often. We keep in touch. It is a wonderful family. And I was very blessed to know both Bill Farmer and Brett Iwan before being gifted with Minnie. Like, I'd known them for several years prior. And I don't think they even knew that was a dream of mine. I just kept it to myself so I could stand on my own 2 high heels.
So you mentioned you kept it to yourself. What was your, like, breakthrough moment, or when did you get sort of, was it one audition, or how did you, like, get sort of, do you remember that first role you got?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when we, I didn't know it was the gig. I thought it was a 3rd callback. And so I walked in and they had paperwork. And like, paperwork at a callback? It was the job. I didn't know that. So there was no time to panic. There was no self-doubt. You just go in and do what I do. But also, like, I didn't get that moment of like, is this Minnie? Congratulations. It was just like, oh yeah, it's you. Go ahead. we have to get going. So it's like, all right, you got it. And it was these 2 little stop motion bumpers we had for Disney Channel. I think testing out our stop motion abilities with that company to bring more specials. And just 2 little short things, and then a couple lines for one of our Mixed Up Adventure episodes for a holiday special. So that was the first gig. And there were like 15 people in the room, and I recognized 3 of them. And so I just kind of like kept my eye on the script or kept my eye on the director, crack a joke here and there, but make sure we're doing it consistently, listen to my direction. Never really know who all those people were or why they were there, but I assume it was good because I'm still here and I'm still doing what I love. So it worked out.
Yeah. It seems to me like one of the perks of being a voice actor is that you wouldn't get necessarily recognized on the street all the time, and you could sort of pick and choose when you like reveal or go into character. Is that true? And how long does it take you to sort of like turn it on and to do the voice, or at other events or things?
Oh yeah, it's pretty easy because I'll go from this to this, so it just kind of jumps right in there, and no one expects it. But I'll do, for littles under 5 who don't quite understand, I pretend it's a magic trick, where I'll say a magical phrase and then like touch my nose, and there she is, and it catches a lot of people off guard, especially adults too. And some guests that I meet, they'll just start crying because it means a lot to them, which is great. Like, then I'm doing something right. But in the very beginning, I definitely I made sure I was warming up correctly because I was talking for so long in that voice. Do your singing practices, go back to my opera training. I'm not a fan of tea, but I drank tea to make it because it was part of that process. And just it got more and more easier as time went on. So now it feels like, a comfy pair of shoes, ready to go, comfy pair of heels. So it feels completely natural now. But even in the beginning when I thought it was natural, there was still much to learn. And I'm always open to learning more aspects. And I still watch a lot of the older programs that Rusi was a part of to listen to her, hear, well, how did she think like this? How did she pronounce this? Because you never know. But it's trusting your instincts too. And I feel I'm pretty solid where I'm at.
Well, any advice you have for kids who want to go into voice acting, or I guess a lot of kids didn't necessarily think of it as a thing they could do, but like, how do you test it out? How do you know? What's your advice for them?
Well, a good indicator is when they're just making up voices and doing impressions or mimics all the time. Like, they'll do a silly voice like, oh, this is how Grandpa sounds when he says this. I was doing voices all the time, much to my parents' entertainment and annoyance. But for anyone interested in voiceover, I firmly believe in 2 things. You really have to love the journey as much as the destination. So booking the show, booking the character is kind of, it's certainly a goal, and it's certainly like the big reward. But I love auditioning. I love going to classes. If I have homework to do, like, oh, I need to make a new animation demo or I should start singing, I'm excited to do those things, even though it's work, because it's part of that process. So I feel if you love every aspect of it, you should be pretty set, even when you would have rejection coming away or changes right off the bat, because anything could happen. And then the other one is, since voice acting is acting classes of all kinds, I firmly believe stage acting is the best preparation, especially for musicals, or musical theater training is the best for voiceover, because it so much of it is voice related anyway, and how to deliver it appropriately and how to act when you have nothing but the voice. So community shows, community theater, workshops, there could be, any acting class to kind of help you understand what acting is, and then you refine it and polish it. Because it took me a long time to learn it. I'm a bit of a slower learner when it comes to internalizing those things. But it does happen. Even if you don't feel like you're growing, you live with yourself, so you don't see that growth, but you're always going to get better. And that goes true for anybody. A great voice actor can come from anywhere.
Last question. If you could tell me your favorite episodes, or, I realize you've done so many different things, but a couple of your favorites, and if you could do that in the voice, that would be great.
Oh, my goodness. The Wonderful World of Mickey, my favorite was the disco one, Let's Go Rollin'. What did she say? It was like, oh, Mickey, the 70s are magical. And I agree, because I love the 70s. And there was one episode of Mixed Up Adventures. Daisy thinks she's a superhero because there's a costume in her grandmother's house. And she thinks the grandmother is the superhero. Now she has to be a superhero because her grandma's in trouble. It's for a costume party. But she's so wrapped up in that idea. And she's like, Minnie, you could be my sidekick and help me. And the correct response would be like, well, how do we do that? But the one we did was, how do we do that? How? Please tell me, Daisy. I'd love to know. Just because she's so wonderfully Daisy. This is par for the course. And there is something coming up, I believe, in season 2 of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus. I can't talk about it just yet, but I'm extremely fond of it. It's a passion project. I feel it was made for me, so I'm very excited when that comes out. I wish I could talk about it. I really do. But I feel like people will know when they see it, since it's something I've talked about quite often.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks.
It's a magnet?
Before I mean, anyways,
Oh, got it.
sit down and go.
Thank you so much.